Welcome to From the Heart with Katy King and myself, Rob Schultz, sponsored by Artist in Training Dance Retreat.
We're releasing weekly, inspiring interviews with our family of AIT mentors, and that's why we're here today.
Our intention is to lean into topics of inspiring moments that are stepping stones toward your dreams and bring more love to the world on our adventures through life. Every week, we'll share inspiring moments from our mentors that will fill your heart and bring inspiration into your life. Hey you guys, it's Rob Schultz here with Artist in Training From the Heart, and I would like to welcome our next mentor, Miss Erin Marino. Let's bring her in. Woo! What's up?
Hi, Rob.
How are you doing, honey?
Doing good, doing good.
Hanging in there, right?
Hanging in.
So I just want to give you a little bit of her background, and I'm just going to scratch the surface on some of her credits. She is the Director of Education at MSA Agency, one of the biggest agencies in Los Angeles. They're amazing. She's done assisting on choreography and direction, covers everything, TV, movies, music videos, commercials. Some of the shows she's worked on, Lip Sync Battle, So You Think You Can Dance, and Glee. I've known Erin for a long time, but this is also where we have a really great connection. She's the Director of the Scholarship Program at the established studio, Debbie Reynolds. Let's welcome Erin again.
Yay, welcome Erin. Awesome.
Thank you.
So glad that you're here. Thanks for taking the time. I know that our students are going to be so excited to hear your insight on everything. So let's jump right into it and tell us a favorite memory of a teaching experience that you've had.
So this one for me, I don't feel like there is a specific teaching experience to me that stands out. What does stand out for me is the work that I've been able to do through the scholarship program that started at Debbie Reynolds, because I've had dancers that have come fresh out to LA wanting to have careers. I've had dancers that were signed to agencies that got dropped, that wanted to get back to their training. I've had dancers that, are signed but aren't booking. And I think, because it's long-term training, it started out as a 6-month training program and then went to be a 10-month training program. Being able to witness the transformation, not only within their dancing, but also help and witness their transformation as humans has been just incredible in being able to see their confidence grow, their craft grow. And, it's always great when coming out of the program, whether it's fresh out of the program or years after the program, when you see them book the jobs that they had come in to get. They had come into that training with that as a goal, or seeing them realize what their goals are, because sometimes they think that it's one thing and then something comes out of it because of the growth that they've been able to do. Not just being a part of that journey, I think is like, it's not like a specific memory, but I think that's the thing I cherish the most about being an educator, is being able to play a role in whatever that journey is for that person. And then seeing them and their successes, whether it's within the industry or they completely change paths and get into production or own their own studio or whatever those things are, seeing them flourish as humans is, I think, the best thing to me.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
My hat's off to Erin because, I taught at Debbie Reynolds, and let me tell you, all the scholarship kids, just them, it's like, I love how you said humans, and, they're more than just a dancer, they're humans first.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the energy and the positivity and the mindset that you instilled in them was brilliant, because their work ethic in class, because I've taught at a lot of studios that had scholarship programs, but overall, I think, you running the program, it was just so inspiring. And I feel like they all talk to each other still, all of them, like, from series 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever group they were in, they're always connecting with each other. And I see it, I love it, because I've worked with some of them and I hear them, we're connecting with our, our older scholarship buddies or the ones coming up. So it's so cool that you brought this community together and they're thriving, dude, in whatever their path is. So
thank you, Rob.
Bravo.
Yeah, we're a little family. No,
it's important about community.
Absolutely.
What's some inspiration that you can share with us for, I always say like younger dancers, but for any dancer, because it doesn't matter. There are people at all ages in this industry, and we can always use some inspiration no matter how old you are. So what's some inspiration for us?
What I always look for inspiration is it, and I guess this is more so for older dancers, but also younger. For me, whenever I need that, like when I'm feeling in a place where I need something, I go back to what originally made me love dance. So whether it was, I grew up in ballet studio. So for me, it was like, I wanted to be a ballerina until I was 14. And then Janet Jackson became my world. It's like not even just like the current Janet, it was like it was like when I discovered her and the decades of work. So going back and revisiting all of that, like in high school for me, it was Justin Timberlake. That was when he first came out solo, and all of those music videos that hit, the tours that were happening, like that whole pop era to me is what I look back on. So what I would say as far as inspiration in general is like dance is driven by music. So diving into the culture of music and not just what's current, but the history of it. What kind of music are you, like you have to be a fan of that. That's why we do it. We are the physical portrayal of music. So diving more into that culture, diving in more into old performances that inspired you, whether you want to be a commercial dancer, if you want to be on Broadway, start doing more research and looking up choreographers, looking up musicians, looking up producers, looking up directors. Dive in, because now we have so many more avenues that we can go to get that information. Everything's on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways, Instagram, whatever it is. But the more knowledge you have as a dancer, it's not just about taking in the information, but also just allow yourself to be immersed in it. Especially if you're like during this time, especially because, we all go into those ruts. So whenever that is, like, there's a lot of things that can stimulate us creatively while we're at home. Yeah, but music, it's always been music for me. And even like my mentor and the choreographer I've worked with for 13 years, Chucky Claypow, he always is like, he's said it, and I'm not like saying any secrets because he says it in class when he teaches too, but he'll say like he never really loved dance. He always just really, really loved music. So yeah. And he's a phenomenal dancer. He's really good at it. But like he loves music, and he is really a fan of it. So opening your ear, and like it doesn't even have to be about dance. Yeah.
Yes. What a great insight. That's so great, especially for any of the students who they feel like, they're stuck or they're burnt out, of that. Oh, I got to go take this ballet class again, or I have to go take this from this teacher again, or whatever. But to just switch the gears a little bit and think, oh, well, I can dive into this instead.
Yeah. Great. Start dissecting music, start listening to like, if you don't know Motown, like, but you love, you know what I mean? Like just dive into different genres and things that you might not necessarily focus on. And that opens up your dancing. Yes. When you open up your ears. So
awesome.
Ooh, that's a golden nugget. Put it in your backpack. Right there. Put it in your backpack of life. Love it.
Awesome.
In there.
All right. I think you've touched on this a little bit, but let's expand some. Why do you love to teach? What brought you to teaching?
Man, I mean, I started teaching when I was really young, probably before I should have been teaching. I was in high school and I was teaching and choreographing and like teaching my peers, which is never, a good situation when you're in high school. Teaching each other, you're just really passionate about it. But I think it's something that never really left me. And when I moved out to LA, I was in a training program, an apprentice program at Performing Arts Center. And I got the last of some really, really great training with generations of teachers that are no longer teaching anymore. So I think for me, having that training, and that was actually why Roberta, Debbie Reynolds Studio, allowed me to start teaching there, because at that point in LA, I had taught at home in Ohio. I'm from Ohio. What's up? But moving out to LA, it's like a whole nother beast. Like, Rob, you know, like when you're in LA and you're like, can I teach here? Because my career at that point, I was in my early 20s. I hadn't booked the jobs yet. I didn't know if people were going to respect it. But I had talked to Roberta, and I knew that they didn't have a lot of jazz at the studio. And she said, well, who have you trained with? And I started naming names of the teachers that I had trained with. Lo and behold, her daughter had trained with those same people. And she was like, okay, you got the real deal. You got the real jazz training. So we're gonna give you a shot. And I started subbing. But it was also, so it was more so for me, teaching has always been a passion, but it's also a responsibility, because when you train with people and those people are no longer teaching, it's your responsibility to pass on that information. There's no other lifeline if they're not active in it. So it's up to you. I think with me, like, that was also why I started the scholarship program, because I saw a void in the community with how commercial dance had shifted. And there were still only a few other long-term training programs, but they weren't fully supporting hip hop culture and what the industry had shifted to. And because I had been teaching at that studio at that point, I think for like 5 or 6 years, and I had the background of being in a program myself and the background of teaching and coaching, they gave me the shot at it. And it was really just knowing that the community needed something, and they didn't even know that they needed it. But when I originally had started that program, there wasn't really anything like that for the hip hop community. It was adding conformity in a place that hadn't had that before in a long-term way. So it was an uphill battle, but you know, I think like it was the old heads at the studio. I don't want to call them old heads, but you know what I mean? It was the legends at the studio that were the first to support it, because they saw what it was and they knew what it was. It was like Anthony Thomas, Shawnette Hurd, Ennis Marquise, like Chuck Maldonado. It was those guys that were like, we see what you're doing and we know that the community needs this. So I think for me, the inspiration to be teaching, it's not even about me at all. It's about, what do the students need? What does the community need? And how to fill that void, because education is bigger than who we are. You know what I mean? It's next generations. It's passing that on. It's for them to be able to pass it on, and it's making sure that you're doing it in a way that's building them up so that then they become leaders. That's all.
Wow.
Yep.
Shout out to
It was a long one.
Yep. No, that's amazing. But shout out to Roberta for really knowing that, you know what I mean? About, you know, knowing that, to feel like, okay, you've trained with these people, you can take their teachings. She knows that. That's what I love about her.
Yeah, same. I think that like the entire time that she was managing that studio, and I'm sure that they're going to get back at it, but Roberta and if you guys don't know who Roberta Mund is, she was a longtime manager of Debbie Reynolds Studio alongside of Margie Duncan, Margie Duncan, also legend, assisted Debbie Reynolds. She was a dancer herself, legendary. Like, she was the one who made all the tap sounds. She did all the tapping for Unsinkable Molly Brown, like Debbie Reynolds' biggest movie. And you know what I mean? So it's like you're in the halls with these people, but you don't know the history. But Roberta knew training. Like, she knows training, and she gave so many teachers in Los Angeles their start, because for her, it wasn't ever about hype. It was always about the history of the person and what do they have to offer. And I just, like, you know, always hands up to Roberta, because she knows what's up.
Dude, I just got chills.
Yes.
So
Shout out
grateful.
to Roberta.
Yeah.
Love you, Roberta. Okay, so this next question.
Yeah.
Share a memorable gig, performance, something in the dance world that you've experienced that, you know, I think when I listen, I got this question from Oprah Masterclass, you know, when people share their journey of like being on a job and their, how it changed them. And then having another artist listen to that, it inspired me. So, yeah, I'm curious for you.
This one is hard.
Sorry, I know.
Am I still frozen?
No, you're good. You're good.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Technology, guys. Sometimes we freeze.
I know.
So for me, it's interesting because there wasn't like one job that was like an aha moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, I would say the aha moment for me was when it was after I started the scholarship program. So when I started the scholarship program at Debbie Reynolds, I was 28. I was still very young, and I hadn't myself. I should say I hadn't myself been able to reach the goals that I made for myself when I moved out to LA. So like for me, the dream was dancing for Janet Jackson and dancing for Justin Timberlake. And at that point in time, when I was starting that program, one, it happened like this because I had been asking for months and months and months, and like they wouldn't even give me a meeting at first. Like I probably asked Roberta 5 times to do a program before she was like, fine, we'll have a meeting with you. And then when we finally had the meeting, it was, we're having the meeting, when are you going to start it? And I had 3 months to launch a program. So it was like instantly, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And then once I started the program, realizing I'm now in charge of helping other people towards their careers and their goals. And I had to step away from a lot of my own personal goals as a dancer. I was still working as an assistant choreographer. But my work, I had to set a lot of things aside in order to focus on getting this program up and running. And it was about a year. So the first and second session of that program, I was on the ground floor. I was there every day, poured my heart and soul into making sure that it was stable. And the third session, I ended up assistant directing and assistant choreographing a world tour for a Disney artist, Latin Disney artist. So half of that session, I was like in and out of the States. I was in Argentina, I was in Europe, I was back and forth. So I was able to work and teach at the same time. And at that time, I had also started working in production. The story is going to lead somewhere, I promise. So I had also So I had also started working in production, Shawnette Hurd. So Shonique Sneed, we love Shonique.
Yeah.
I had done, so the year before, I'm like bouncing around. The year before I did the scholarship, or I created the scholarship program, I had done creating opportunities with Shonique and Lisette. And Shonique was my coach, right? Like following that, I created the scholarship program and I started a company. My goal for creating opportunities was they would always have you do a project. My project was to teach on convention, but then I ended up starting my own stuff. So I don't know how that flourished, but I'm going to thank Shonique for that. And at the same time, Shonique was releasing her music and she was doing a music video and Shawnette Hurd was producing. And if you guys don't know who Shawnette Hurd is, she was with Janet Jackson again, guys. From right Janet to All For You. Like if you watched Janet at that time, Shawnette Hurd was your inspiration. Like she was always there, and she, you know, she was creative directing and choreographing for Janet for All For You, which was when I was in high school. So seeing things come full circle, right? Yeah. So I ended up not really like achieving the goals that I had originally set out, but it was around that time of the tour happening, me realizing, oh my gosh, I built a company. It's called LA Establishment. We do programming sometimes in LA. And that's what the scholarship program runs out of now in LA. I started, you know, I was at, you know, doing a world tour at the time. Coming back from the tour, I started working with Shawnette more, and her company is called Spit and Image. And her and Melissa own that company, and I started working on bigger projects, working within production and learning the production aspect. But it was around that time I had built relationships through Debbie Reynolds Studio. I had the program, I had my company, I had assistant directing and choreography, and I had production now. And I looked back at that period of time and I was able to see that my goals had come in different ways. So that Janet, Justin Timberlake goal of mine came through my training at Debbie Reynolds Legacy with Anthony Thomas, who is one of the biggest supporters of my program, and he was like he is the one to train with. He's not teaching anymore, but at the time we were so blessed to have a few years with him where the students were with him every week. And I too trained with him for 9 years and worked with him on shows. I worked with him on Lip Sync Battle. But Anthony Thomas, by the way, choreographed Rhythm Nation for Janet Jackson. If you need inspiration and you haven't seen it, watch that one. Miss You Much, All Right, that whole era of Janet, he choreographed. And then fast forward to working production and building a relationship with Shawnette Hurd, who was also with Janet, who also worked with Justin Timberlake. So those goals kind of like shifted. So for me, it wasn't a job. It was like an aha moment of realizing one day. And a lot of it was because in training other people, you realize like that you've taken on other responsibilities. And at some point you have to realize that this was 10 years later. So this was 2 years into the scholarship program, 10 years into, I want to say 10 years into me being in LA, maybe even more, maybe 11 or 12 years into being in LA. But when you think about it, 12 years have gone by, and those goals that I had set when I first moved out to LA, you're a different person after 12 years. So for me, instead of looking at it as I hadn't achieved those things, I looked at it and I felt like just so lucky that they had come in a different package. And just trusting and being open throughout my career, because I could have kept the blinders on and been like, no, this is what I want. But I stayed open to, I moved out there to be a dancer, but I had more opportunities in other lanes, and those other lanes led me to my goals in different packages. So it wasn't on a job. I didn't answer the question, but I
you did, because it was an experience in the dance world. You did.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I guess the whole moral of that story is like, just stay open to everything that comes your way, because you never know where something is going to lead you. Like when Shonique asked me to be on set for her music video, she knew what she was doing. She knew that like that was something that an environment that I should be in, but she didn't ask me to come and like be a PA on her set. She said, I want you to be there. Like, I need good energy around me. And I went as a friend and like as somebody who's being mentored by somebody, but really she had a higher plan for me. But had I been like, oh no, I have other things to do today, I'm going to class, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, because my vision was in a different direction. That's what I mean about like everything that is laid out in front of you has a purpose. You just have to be open to, maybe taking the windy path instead of just putting the blinders on and doing what you think is the direction, like going in the direction you think you're supposed to go in. I've seen so many people in LA too that have similar careers where they were so focused on something, but there were so many things right in front of them that eventually, as they started paying attention to those things, they flourished in ways that they never would have had they continued to ignore those things. So
Erin, where were you for me in the beginning of my career? Love. We have to have that discussion, because you will be like slapping me in the face. That's me. Thank you for that. That it's so, artists, anybody, that information is so important, because stay open, like this.
Yeah.
Stay open and have that positive mindset, that taking this different journey and making it like one of the most amazing things that's happened. It's so easy to say, oh, I didn't get to do this, or I didn't get to do that. Or you can say, I got to do all of this other stuff. Like I got to do all these things that led me to where I am today. And that's such an important positive mindset to have as an artist. Awesome.
I think it's also, especially in this industry, it's really important to realize like your goals are allowed to shift. And that doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't
Yes.
mean that like it's, you know, it's not a failure on your part, because it's all in your perspective and how you're looking at situations. Because when if I'm going to be brutally honest with myself, and I'm the type of person that I am brutally honest with myself, the goal of dancing for Janet and Justin, like I didn't really go after those goals as hard as if I really, really wanted that for myself, I should have been in Marty Kudelka's class every single time he taught. Like I should have really been proactively chasing that dream, and I wasn't, because there were other things that became more important that I was putting my energy towards. And it was like teaching at Debbie Reynolds led to the scholarship program at Debbie Reynolds, led to directing TMilly TV, led to director of education at MSA Agency. So like the things that I was putting my energy into were leading to, you know, more opportunities in that realm. So I didn't really do what I was supposed to do had I wanted those goals, really and truly. In the beginning, yes, I was dancing a lot, but those things started to fall away. And I think being realistic with yourself is super important. Also knowing that like, if you really want something, you have to put the work into it. Because I think nowadays, like dancers come out to LA and they just think it's going to happen. Well, nowadays we're in a different predicament, but prior to COVID, like, you know, everybody was moving out to LA and everybody wanted the dream and everybody wanted the followers and everybody wanted this, that, and whatever. And like you hit a hard reality that it takes time and effort and connections and training, and there's a lot that goes into it, and you have to be ready for that.
Woo, marinating that, yo.
Gold. So much good stuff.
My backpack is so full right now, Erin.
I love it. Rob,
I hope it's not too heavy. I hope it's not too heavy.
No, it's good.
It's heavy, full of all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Rob, I think we can move right into the Rob's round right now. I think we've got
cool.
a lot of good
stuff. Oh my
stuff.
goodness, I'm so scared.
No, it's fun. It's like, so, you know, most people when you meet them, they're like, so what do you, like, you know, what do you do? You know, the LA thing and everything. And I'm totally the opposite. I'm like, what'd you eat for lunch today? What movie did you see? So this is what it's kind of is. It's called the Rob's Rapid Round. So just go with it. Don't think about it. Super easy. Favorite movie?
Okay, I'm going to be real bad at this. Favorite movie, Dirty Dancing.
Oh, both.
And Hocus Pocus. Both
Nice.
Kenny Ortega movies.
Oh my gosh, both Kenny Ortega. I love you.
Me too.
Favorite TV show?
Oh gosh.
I know it's hard, but just.
It's really hard. I mean, this is not, my favorite TV show is not really an appropriate one for kids, but Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little darker, but I really love that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Can I? Yeah.
That's
No
okay.
no judgment on that. Favorite song and or music artist?
Oh my gosh, Janet Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
What song though? What's your favorite song of hers?
I think the one in, sorry, Anthony Thomas, it's not on the Rhythm Nation album, but If was always like the one growing up.
It's my favorite.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite podcast and or book you're reading?
Okay. Podcast, this is funny. I listen to an astrology podcast every week. Her name is Ann Ortley. She is fire. I got my charts done by her. I'm not even really an astrology person. Like, I don't understand half of the stuff she's saying as far as like squares to this and degrees and all that stuff. But what I watch it for is she's always talking about energies of people and like what the energy for the week is. And I think when you're dealing with a lot of people, when you're coaching people, when you're teaching people, when I'm an agent, like knowing what the energy of the week is, and like I am a believer in that. The only reason is because I had a planner the year that I started the scholarship program. This is turning into not a rapid round. The year I started the scholarship program, she had a year in review, and the astrologer had a year in projected and it was at the back banner, and I didn't see it until the end of the year. And I swear to you, spot on every month was like, how did she know? Because it was a year projection, but it was like big things that had happened that year. Broke up with a boyfriend, started a new work relationship, created a company, started a scholarship program, like literally to the like dot. It was spot on. And I was like, who's this woman? So she has a podcast. And I listened to it just for like the energies of the week. And she's like, look, this is what it is. You can choose what to do with it. So, like you know, like she might be like, Thursday, people are going to be on edge. If somebody comes at you, just chill. Like, so that's why I listen to it. That's my favorite podcast. And I read a lot of books. So I can't tell you that I have a favorite.
What book are you reading right now?
I am reading a book called The Water Dancer right now. I couldn't tell you who it's by, but it's very, very good. It was one of like, I don't know, it won awards and stuff like that. So, but it's heavy, maybe not a kid's read, but parents, yes. Yeah.
I think it was on the Oprah's book club.
It is on Oprah's book club. It's dealing with the times of slavery.
Yeah.
And it dives into, it's following the story of one man, and it makes you, you know, even though it's a fictional story, it's, I'm sure, true to what was happening at the times in families, what they were dealing with, and wanting to be families and people getting split apart. It's just, it makes you realize a lot about, you know, what was going on at those times, and kind of takes you into that world. So
amazing.
Little heavy, but necessary.
Very.
Yeah.
Last question. One word that inspires you. A word.
A word. I want to say trust.
Ooh,
woo!
Nice.
Janet Jackson. No, I'm joking.
I want to say, just because I think like that word has a lot of weight to it. And I think in anything that you do, whether like in life, in your career, whatever it is, trust, not like entrusting other people, knowing who to trust, trusting yourself more so. Because if you don't trust yourself in your choices, and you don't trust who you are and what you want, then you're never going to be able to get to where you want to go. You're not going to have the life that you want to live. But I think, you know, trust is important in relationships, but it's most important with yourself. Yeah.
Dude, beautiful. I love it. Kathy, you want to say anything?
I was just going to say, I think that's my favorite question that we've asked all of our mentors, because everyone has been so different. And it's like every single time a mentor has answered that question, I've gone, yes, that trust. Yes, that word is like perfect. So I'm going to let that word carry me through my day today.
Yeah, I'm going to marinate in that too, and just really wrap in that. So Erin, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time to be with us. And you're in Ohio right now. Of course. Right? I love it. I
am in Ohio. I'm with family.
I love it. I can't wait till we're all doing our thing again and we can be together and go inspire the world. That is our mission, you know, to really approach art from the heart. Oh.
Woo!
Oh, that wasn't me. Dude.
Something's working through you.
So, my God, this is from you, Erin. I'm so, this conversation was so inspiring, dude. I'm like my day right now is I'm already gone. Tomorrow's right now.
Yay, thank you, Rob.
I love you.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Kathy, I love you for making this happen. All the work that you do, I appreciate you. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day.
Virtual hugs.
Love you all. We love you out there. Stay strong. Stay inspired. We love you.
Yay. Thanks, Erin.